Hello and welcome to Making Art with Khan Academy. This is video 2 in this lecture series. In the last video, I wrote a little recursive function that just rotates and draws in loops at the new location. And I decided that I didn't like the push and pop matrix within each layer of recursion. So I replaced them with the reset matrix, and what I'm going to do now is right before I call the recurse, I'm going to set some style code. I don't like to have my style in here if it's going to be the same thing for the whole recursion, and I don't like having it just up here because who knows where I'm going to call this. So I just get in the habit of calling style code that goes into and affects the whole recursion right above where I call that initial recurse. So I decided that I wanted to have no fill for now. I might change that later. But I just wanted to show you that when I call no fill, then you can see like a little bit more of the complicated structure to this, because each new white ellipse, like this was the very last one that was drawn, it eliminated this little fuzzy region right here of all of those previous stroke lines. And speaking of stroke lines, I want them to be a little bit lighter, so stroke weight 0.5. And how about 15? So if you start with a higher number, then that initial ellipse is going to be, it's probably this one right here, this vertical one. It just has like this really 48 times 30 really huge height to it. And then since it's going to take more layers of recursion to get down to that inner one, like you just wrap around multiple times. So now we've got some kind of crazy looking star thing. Like, who would have ever, I mean, you'd have to be some kind of genius to see this in your head just before like running the code. It's great, isn't it? And so one other thing that I wanted to do is, instead of no fill, I actually want to use transparent fill colors in here. That that looks kind of cool in and of itself. Okay, so we are going to have fills. They're just going to be transparent so that you get a little bit of that complexity from the previous layers. But and now let me think about I. I is way more than 255, so 48 times 30. I is ranging from 1400 down to 0. So what if I divide that by 255? So if I divide the 1400 number by about 6, that'll get me into the range of allowable color values. So instead of filling like a solid red, I'm going to do I divided by 6. And how about a random color? And slightly less opaque. Well, that looks pretty cool, but it's just what it is. It's a static picture. Well, it'll look different each time, but that gives me an idea. Why don't we make it kind of twinkle? That's an animation, so we need a draw loop. So each time on the draw loop, I'm going to put down a background. And then I'm going to call recurse. Whoopsie daisy. That reset matrix in there undid my center transform. So I'll just call that translation right before I call recurse. And now we have a twinkly star. So how about adding another parameter? Because I'm already bored with this. Let's add another parameter to my function, and I'm going to call that R for rotation. And what I'm going to do with that parameter inside the code block, I'm just going to add it to I. So now I need, well, R is undefined right now, if you didn't know that, since I didn't call that right here some number, then it just defaults to undefined, so that messed up the rotation, so now I just get this boring vertical line. So I'm going to call a number that's changing all the time. I could say var r equals 0, r plus 1 plus plus, and then r right here. But we already have access to a system variable that keeps track of the frame count. That's not at all what I expected. Alright, so last time, well, I think I'm just gonna splice this onto the end of the last video. So for you, a few minutes ago, anyhow, last time we were having some kind of crazy problem where I couldn't get stuff to rotate. It was all on a vertical line. So I paused the video, I took a break, and I came back, and I commented out the draw loop because I don't want 10 billion print statements, and I put a print statement in here, and I put in a smaller number right here. So the output to that debug is 15 nan. Nan stands for not a number. Now, I figured out the reason why I'm getting not a number after the first iteration is because I didn't put a second value in here. So as I was saying in the last video, if you decline to put a second value, then the function just assigns R to be undefined. So even though I defined R right here as 10, and in a normal function, that would mean that within this block of code, R is 10. Well, not so much with recursion. In the second layer, since I didn't put comma, well, I could do R minus 1, for example. Even though this isn't my recursion variable, I don't need to subtract it. But it would be nice if it was changing from layer to layer. Oh, and you can see that over here. R is changing. So, let's get back to it. I'm going to get rid of these because I didn't like the, well, I liked it, but I wanted to see that star effect. Get rid of these. Get rid of this. Get this back in there. Holy guacamole. Reset matrix. Translate. Well, at least it's not a vertical line. I think that I needed that in there when I did the push matrix pop matrix method. There we go, we got a star again. But if I'm not doing push and pop matrix, then I need to call the translate before the recursion, so it's not translating all over the place on each layer. Oh, I was wondering why I had a static picture. There we go. That it's sort of what I was imagining. The different layers of recursion are rotating at different rates. So every once in a while you'll see like a internal rotation, essentially. And I'm just going to stare at this for a while, so I guess I'll stop the video.